Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T, and I hope you're having a great day. 16-year-old Kiely Rodni is undergoing an autopsy today, Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. It appears that the Prosser County Sheriff's Office Coroner's Unit will be overseeing the autopsy. Toxicology reports will likely take several weeks. Hopefully, the autopsy and the toxicology reports will tell the story of how Kiely and her CRV landed in the Prosser Creek Reservoir. I suspect that we're going to find that this comes down to a tragic accident. But if any crime is found to have occurred, it will likely be selling or providing alcohol to a minor and possibly illicit drugs as well. Note, however, that Kiely's family has said that 1. Kiely would not drive drunk, and 2. Kiely was not one to experiment with drugs. The autopsy should be able to tell us what, if anything, Kiely may have consumed that night. The final ping from Kiely's phone occurred at 12:33 a.m., and it was said to be 50 feet from the Prosser Creek Reservoir, the closest body of water to where the party was held. The most obvious place for her car to be, and yet it took 2 weeks to find it. In examining maps and drone footage of the area, I tend to believe that Kiely likely made a wrong turn on her way out of the party. If Kiely were heading back toward the paved road from the parking area toward the exit, the intersection of the dirt road likely confused her. If she was even slightly buzzed and in a hurry to get home to meet her curfew in the darkness and fog, yes, the weather report I pulled said it was foggy that night, it would have been easy for her to go right instead of left. This would have put her on a direct path to a dead end that terminated right at the water's edge. The bank there is steep. There was no sign, no guardrail, no lights illuminating the area or the water, nothing to warn Kiely of the drop-off into the water. Someone wrote to me to say that a person she communicated with said that he once launched his boat from that spot in the past. Note, however, that this is not the official boat ramp to the reservoir. It's a different spot, but Kiely would likely not have known she was headed the wrong way until she felt the CRV head downward and smash into the water. Thus, she would have been traveling at whatever speed she was going, and she would not have braked because she would not have been aware that the water was right in front of her. We've also heard that Kiely arrived at the party at 10 p.m., later than Sammy Smith. Is it possible she was somehow parked closer to the party site, which would have made it not a big deal to go back and forth to her CRV to charge phones and to get alcohol, as Sammy has stated? Yes, Sammy did say that they went to the CRV for alcohol and to charge phones. Somehow that alcohol bit has got lost in the narrative. My only questions with this are, 1, if she left the party at the same time as so many other partygoers at 12:30 a.m., why didn't Kiely follow the convoy of vehicles? Why did she take this different route? And 2, how could no one else have seen or heard Kiely's vehicle go into the water? Wouldn't there have been a loud noise? But I suppose that if no one else made that turn, it's possible that no one else could have witnessed or heard Kiely's CRV hit the water. Perhaps the partygoers' windows were closed because it was chilly around 12:30 a.m., around 47 degrees Fahrenheit. It was also foggy, starting around midnight, according to the weather report I looked at on timeanddate.com. The fog may have also played a role in this. Maybe Kiely could not see very far in front of her out there. When the Adventures with Purpose guys used their sonar equipment, they found Kiely's silver CRV just 55 feet from the shore in 14 to 17 feet of water. So close to safety, so close to shore, so close to the surface, and yet so far. Note that finding Kiely's CRV marks AWP's 24th solved case. They've solved 23 cold cases in the past, and now they found a vehicle related to an active and ongoing investigation. Props to these YouTubers turned television stars. They make their living from having 2.4 million subscribers and from the generous contributions of their viewers. It's pretty obvious the value that AWP provides. But it's shocking that even Adventures with Purpose, who are definitely the heroes of this story, didn't head straight to the Prosser Creek Reservoir when they arrived in Truckee, California. They actually went to other bodies of water first, including Donner Lake. They'd been told that the Prosser Creek Reservoir had been thoroughly searched by at least 3 police dive teams. According to Captain Sam Brown of the Nevada County Sheriff's Office, that particular reservoir was searched with sight, sonar, a remotely operated vehicle, a diver, and swimmers. Here's what Josh Cantu of Adventures with Purpose said. Police told us that they did a rigorous search of this body of water. They gave us a grid map and made us confident we didn't need to search here. End quote. Diver Nick Wren of AWP said he found the car close to shore within a few minutes of diving via sonar. He said, I went down and did my inspection. I saw the vehicle upside down, verified the license plate, and that there were remains inside the vehicle. Then I came out, we called the family and authorities, and let them take it from there. End quote. Imagine if Adventures with Purpose hadn't gone to Truckee with their boats and equipment. Kiely Rodni's parents may never have found out where Kiely was. Despite having 16 agencies looking for Kiely, including the FBI, it took a small but mighty YouTube channel to locate her. There does seem to be some controversy, however, even with Adventures with Purpose. Captain Sam Brown has said that he didn't know if Adventures with Purpose reached out to Kiely's family before posting their announcement about finding her on Facebook. Brown said, and I quote, I think there's still some sketchy details on how that contact went down, so I don't want to speak on behalf of the family, end quote. Having watched Adventures with Purpose in the past, I've only ever seen them talk with families where the family member had been missing for many years, but they've always been very respectful from what I recall. I doubt AWP would post about finding Kiely before telling her loved ones. In fact, my understanding is that Kiely's father and grandfather were there at the reservoir when AWP was searching. Perhaps law enforcement is upset because they believe they should be the authorities conveying the news of Kiely's discovery to her family. Everybody's been wondering why Kiely didn't manage to escape her vehicle. Her 2013 CRV was said to be in just 14 to 17 feet of water. That's not really all that deep. Couldn't she have kicked out a window and swam out of there? Tragically, it's not that easy. We have to remember that it was pitch dark out there at 12:30 a.m. The water was likely cold. Also, it's been alleged that Kiely was so inebriated that her party buddy, Sammy, didn't want Kiely driving her home. If that's true, and Kiely was too inebriated to safely drive, and if that CRV quickly turned upside down in the water, as Adventures with Purpose found it, Kiely would have likely been completely disoriented inside her vehicle, upside down, possibly drunk, in the dark, in cold water with doors that wouldn't open due to pressure. It's easy to see why she would have been challenged to escape. She also likely didn't have training on what to do if she were to ever find herself inside a vehicle underwater. I've seen those videos in the past, but will that information come rushing into my head if, God forbid, I ever find myself in a similar situation? I doubt it. We have one of those window breakers / seatbelt cutters, but will I remember I have it? And will I be able to find it within the first 30 seconds of a crash? By the way, if you don't have one of those devices, go out and get one and carry it on your keychain. Adventures with Purpose sells a 2-in-1 emergency car escape survival keychain for $6.95 on their website. You can't beat that price, and it comes in 8 different colors. And if you buy 2 or more, you save 5%. Make sure your loved ones have one of these tools. I'll leave a link to AWP's website in the description. According to the online sources I checked, when a vehicle leaves the road and lands in deep water, as 14 feet deep or more, most cars will float on the surface for a short period of time, from 30 seconds to several minutes, depending on various factors. A vehicle's float time is affected by whether the windows are closed, sealed, and intact, as well as the design, body, style, construction quality, and the age of the car. Also, most vehicles have the motor in front. With those, the vehicle will immediately assume an angled nose-down position in the water. If the water depth is 14 feet or greater, the vehicle will usually turn and land upside down on its roof. Being upside down in the dark, possibly with water rushing inside, will disorientate most of us. Factor in alcohol and/or drugs, and it becomes pretty much impossible to think and act quickly and efficiently enough to survive. A vehicle with windows and doors open will submerge faster than the same vehicle with its windows and doors closed. The faster water enters the vehicle, the faster it loses its buoyancy and the quicker it descends. A vehicle that has all the windows and doors closed will initially descend slowly, but as the vehicle loses buoyancy, its speed of descent will increase. To get out of a submerged car, you have to make the decision to escape immediately, like within the first 30 seconds. Because of the angled nose-down position in the water and the pressure exerted by the water against the doors, it can be impossible to open the driver's side and passenger side doors. When this occurs, the only escape may be through the car door windows or the back window. But again, you'd have to be thinking quickly and sharply. Electric power may stay on inside a vehicle for as much as an hour, but once the window motors and/or switches get soaked, they will generally short out and the windows and door locks will no longer operate. You have to be able to break windows to get out. Windows made of tempered glass will easily shatter using one of those life hammer devices. The same device should have a cutter blade so that you can cut yourself out of a seatbelt if need be. But windows made of laminated glass will not break. It turns out car manufacturers often strive to ensure their windows don't break. They believe it's better to protect people from getting thrown out of the windows than to allow them to easily break out of them. Their trying to protect against that issue ironically makes the windows less easy to escape from if, God forbid, you find yourself in a submerged car. The advice I found online, if you are in a car with laminated windows, says that you should move to the back of the vehicle or wherever an air pocket may be located. Stay with it until all the air has left the vehicle. Once this happens, the pressure should equalize, allowing you to open a door and escape. Now, a lot of people have been examining the images of Kiely's CRV as it was pulled from the reservoir, trying to see if there are any clues on it as to what happened. It does appear that the front window may have been smashed. A back window appears halfway down, and the driver's side mirror appeared to be dangling, but it's impossible for us to know when that damage occurred and how. It could have happened during the accident, or it could be the result of being pulled out of the water. Hopefully, the FBI will be able to untangle all of that. One thing law enforcement can do to try and piece together what actually happened to Kiely and how and when she landed in the water is to use the car's black box. It's actually called an event data recorder, and it gathers driving information about a vehicle before, during, and after a crash. The recorder gathers data about speed, acceleration, braking, steering, and airbag deployment. Cars from 2013 or later have this black box. Less than 5% of new cars in 2013 came without one. So it's likely that Kiely's silver CRV, which was a 2013, most likely does have an event recorder. I'm still trying to figure out how, if Kiely's phone pinged at 12:33 a.m., half on land and half on water, she could have called Sammy Smith at 12:36 a.m. It's almost as if that final ping at 12:33 occurred right at the moment of impact. That's me speculating, though. I really don't know how that all works. But I do wonder now how Kiely could have called Sammy at that time to casually ask her if she had a ride. The time doesn't make sense, and neither does the story Sammy shared about it. If they'd already hugged and said goodbye, why would Kiely have called Sammy to ask if she'd found a ride? Let's hope the cell tower data and the phones will say one way or another if that call really took place. One of the saddest parts of this story is that Sammy Smith's many interviews and her sometimes stumbling in answering questions made her appear suspect from the get-go. And everyone began to question why this person, who was said to only be a party buddy of Kiely's, was inserting herself in the investigation. Sammy herself could not have foreseen the storm that was about to be unleashed on her after her first YouTube interview. She immediately became a target after that. Some people are questioning the ethics of having a young lady of Sammy's age appear on a YouTube channel to answer questions about her friend's disappearance. One of Sammy's friends has said that Sammy got involved because she helped organize the party and she feels somewhat responsible. Yesterday, Sammy deleted her Instagram. I'm sure she was getting hate-filled messages. I looked at Kiely's ex-boyfriend, Jagger's Instagram, and right out of the gate, I noticed a comment to him that read, "Jagger, tell us where you put the body." Whoever wrote that is a monster. Jagger has said he was hours away in Napa with his father at the time of the party, and I'm sure the police can figure out if that alibi is solid. Why would someone accuse this kid, who is clearly devastated by these events? There's zero evidence to lead anyone in such a direction. This is the stuff that makes law enforcement have a love-hate, mostly hate, relationship with YouTube creators. Sadly, Sammy Smith, Kiely's best friend, Magdalene, Jagger, and Kiely's other friends will have to forever live with memories of this tragic event and with the loss of a precious friend. They're still so young, and this loss has likely already made the bright lights of their futures dim just a little. If anyone's angry with Sammy for leaving Kiely behind, just know that she will have to live with her feelings of guilt for a lifetime. She's not coming away from this tragedy unscarred. If Kiely did set out for home inebriated, then she's ultimately responsible for her own poor judgment. Yes, it would have been better and correct if Sammy Smith had pulled her aside and said, "You're coming with us." But Kiely was only 16, Sammy's only 18, and perhaps neither one of them had the luxury of more wisdom and experience to know the right things to do that night. I don't want to victim shame Kiely. I'm just trying to look at it from all the different angles. Here's what we do know for now. 1, Kiely was not trafficked. And 2, she did not run away. So we can scratch those scenarios off the list. The remaining questions center around a few red flags, including 1, that 12:36 a.m. alleged call from Kiely to Sammy. Did Kiely really call Sammy at 12:36 a.m.? 2, who allegedly saw Kiely at 12:40 a.m.? 3, why did some parents tell their kids not to talk to the authorities? 4, why weren't some kids forthcoming with information? And 5, why didn't Kiely follow the other drivers who were all leaving the party at 12:30 a.m. in that convoy that somebody out at the Prosser family campgrounds witnessed? And my advice to people who care about Kiely and her family and friends, and who have a heart and soul, is this: do not blame these people for Kiely's demise. It's absurd to blame the parents for allowing Kiely to attend this party. How many of us attended school parties at age 16 and drank some of the beer or wine that was floating around? Was that our parents' fault? My parents taught me well, but I sometimes, in my youthful desire to have fun, ignored their advice. Most of us get off scot-free from these youthful indiscretions. Some, possibly like Kiely, do not. And it's not fair, and there's no real reason for it. It's just the way it went. Sending love to Kiely Rodni's family and friends. Kiely's parents have temporarily closed their Lost Trail Lodge in Truckee, California, writing, "Please excuse us while we retreat and dance privately to life's song while we celebrate our daughter's spirit and heal our souls." End quote. Kiely's ex-boyfriend Jagger, too, has asked people to stop DMing him and give him some space in which to grieve and process his loss. Let's leave these fellow human beings of ours to process their loss and to heal and to grieve in peace and quiet and tranquility. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories. Now please do me a favor, smash that like button. Please subscribe. It's a free way you can help me on my YouTube journey.